Alright, good day everyone. This is the part 8 of the Dart series video tutorial we're actually learning. I don't know, before I proceed, I need you guys comments on if I'm actually too slow with my explanation, if my video is too long, probably if I should reduce it. If I should reduce the time, compress the time, probably I should be a little bit more faster, or I should still maintain this kind of level. Please in the comment, drop your comment which of the two is actually going to be making sense to you, so that I'll be able to adjust for you guys. All right, I will make sure I'll try my best to make sure that this video is not going to be too long. All right, without wasting much of our time, let's jump right into today's tutorial, what we'll be learning today. All right, what we'll be learning today is actually operators. Yes, operators in that that you actually come from another background, probably Java or any other programming language, might have known or get to understand what operator is, because from language to language, those operators are actually almost the same thing, probably a little bit different, small difference between those language are what are they, but most of the time those operators are actually almost the same. All right, okay. What we just need, let's create, because when you are actually learning, it's a very good practice to create each folder for each of the things you are learning. That's why you can see that I keep creating each file, sorry, for each of what you are learning. That's why you see that I keep creating different files for whatever we are learning, so that we'll be more structured and organized, as I've said earlier. All right, as we've known, we are going to create a new file inside this bin folder so that we can learn everything we need to learn about operators. All right, let me just create my file here. Operators.dat, definitely you know that it is that language, and the extension, file extension, is going to be that. All right, we are still using void, and I don't know if I am able to explain this void from the onset. The void just means that this particular is another type. Yeah, is another type, but this is used for function, just like we have int, string for variables that we learned in our previous video. For function, we have int and other type also, but what is there is we keep using void because we are not returning. Once we want to, void means we are not returning. Don't worry, we are going to explain return in the future. Return means probably we have different functions and whatever is inside, and most of the time when we start writing real program, we will definitely be returning. Return means return data, return a particular value, return a particular result after an action or a process has been done inside a particular function, and you want the result to be returned to another class or another function, then you make use of return. Probably we computed, let's continue. No, I don't want AI to generate anything for me, don't worry. Let's just type everything manually so that we'll be able to flow with whatever we are doing. All right, let's say for example int a equals to something like 10. Yeah, it's still fine. And int b is equal to something like 3. All right, this is throwing error. It's not actually error, it's actually trying to sync. I don't know why it takes so much time to sync the code. But all right, if on a literal ground, if this type of function is not void, we are going to do something like return a or return a plus b, for example, on a literal ground. But because this is not a return type, if it is something like maybe int main, now you can see that it doesn't bring error again. It's telling us that this is fine because whenever you have a return type to be int, string, double, any kind of data type you are returning. You know, I told you that when you're returning, it means you are returning a particular data. Then you have to specify what data you are returning. But if you are not returning anything, you just put void. And most of the time in the future program, you discover that we'll be returning data for one reason or the other. But for now, we'll just keep printing. And printing in the future, you will not be using it so much, because printing is meant for, or should I say, you'll not be using, okay, the way you are going to be using in print function in the future is when you want to debug, when you have bug in your code, because whenever you print, it's definitely going to show on your console. Yes, it's going to show on your console. And you know that what we want to end up with is building a graphical user interface, a mobile application which users can actually interact with. When you're talking about graphical user interface, you know that all those button, slide, screen, carousel, a lot of kind of components is going to be merged together to build that particular application. That is when you'll be using so much of return. And when you are debugging, you'll be using print internally just to be able to see what the error is or what your data is at a particular point. But for now, we are not doing that. We just keep learning step by step. All right, let's return this to void, and we can now change this back to int. Okay, and in the list of operators that we'll be learning, we'll be starting with arithmetic operator. We have so many type of operators. In this case, we'll be starting with arithmetic. Let me put it as a comment. Arithmetic operators. We'll be learning arithmetic operator. We already know arithmetic operator, all these our plus, minus, and the likes. Yes, that we learned while we're in school then. Those are the arithmetic operators, and they are still the same thing here, although when you get to some kind of computation, those are arithmetic, they are additional operators which are actually added. All right, this is plus. We all know plus, not to waste much of our time to get on this. We already know data type. We've learned that in our previous video. Please, if you don't know about that, please watch the previous video so that you can be able to follow up with this video that you are watching now. All right, we have int, the data type, and the data type we are declaring says A is going to be having a data of integer, and B is going to be having a data of 3. And how are we able to put 3 and 10? How are we able to put 10 inside A, and how are we able to put 3 inside B is with the help of this assignment operator. Yes, this equal to is an assignment operator. Probably I didn't mention it in the previous video where we learned our variables, but yeah, I'm going to just quickly brush through it for you, and definitely we're going to learn more assignment operator. This is just a simple normal logic whereby something is being assigned to something. You know, we said that the variable is like a container trying to store something temporarily. Yes, temporarily we are storing 10 inside A, and the way we can store it is like, okay, A have this 10, and A is actually going to store 10 with the help of operator, this assignment operator. All right, we have print A plus B, which means we are printing, because we've stored we've stored 10 inside A, we've stored 3 inside B. Now if we print A plus B, it's going to definitely give us 13, but that is because we know the computation in our head. But for program, for our code, for our application, we have to let it know. It's going to now compute it. We give it whatever we want to give it. Most of the time, data. When we give it the data, then we expect it to give us output, to give us a result. That is how this works. That's why we call it application, an applicable software that actually solves a particular problem. When it's definitely in my series, I don't really like building something like calculator. We are going to build a very robust and a very beautiful application. Something like calculator is not my thing actually, but definitely computation is going to happen inside the application. All right, let's run this. Definitely we know how to run. The reason why I don't like using this button, there's this button that says start, debug, or run or debug. The reason I don't like doing that is because I love terminal. Terminal is more faster. When you run your command straight up on the terminal, it's more faster. It runs faster than you using button. Yes, if you try it, you can try it from your end and you see that it's actually, but if you prefer the button, you can still be using the button. It's going to definitely run your code, but I just prefer to type my command normal. All right, we can set that run. Remember, the file is inside bin folder. We just do bin / operators .dat definitely. All right, you can see it runs and says starting. Definitely we know that it's starting, but there will be some kind of gigantic arithmetic operation that it will be happening in your code, whereby even normal human being cannot calculate it in seconds. But this is how it starts, small, little by little. We are getting to understand the arithmetic operator. Next on the list is subtraction. Oh, fantastic. I think this is cool. My AI gave me every of the other list. We have minus, which is subtraction. We have the asterisk. Asterisk is what we use for multiplication, not x. You know, we have x on the keyboard, which is letter x, but we are talking about operators, symbols. Yes, symbols. And asterisk is another symbols used for multiplication. We have forward slash. Forward slash is the one used for division, and we have percentage. Percentage is what we use for modulo, and forward slash is for decimal division. Then we have for integer division. Decimal division, we know what is decimal, something like double. Yes, that's decimal division. But integer division, whereby you will not have remainder, it will erase the remainder. That is what we are going to have this something like ampersand, this coily stuff, this coily symbol. It used to be beside beside 1 on your keyboard. You see a key before 1 on your keyboard. When you press shift, and that symbol is going to give you this particular symbol called ampersand, and sometimes we call it negation. Yes, in logical problem. Yes. Okay, I think these are the basic arithmetic operator that we have, and we can just run and compare and see what is actually going to happen. Let me expand this terminal so that we can see, and we can clear. We already know the clear command to just clear up your terminal so that everything will look new, and whenever you run your new code, you'll be able to see the good result. All right, fantastic. We can see that we now have, and definitely we can do, we've learned concatenation and string interpolation in our previous video. We can actually do the same thing here. We can put some kind of concatenation here, but before we do that, let's quickly understand what is on the terminal. Okay, we can see that a plus b is the first one, which is 13, which is 10 plus 3 is 13. You can see that 10 minus 3, which is a, because we've stored a. In most cases, you will not know the data that is being stored in the particular variable, but the computer know, your application know, they understand, and they're going to give you the output. All right, if you say a minus b, which is 10 minus 3, that is 7. If you say a multiplied by b, which is 10 multiplied by 3, that is 30. You can see that 30 is on the screen, and a divided by b, a is 10, b is 3. 3 divided by 10, that is 3.3. You can see 3.33333. That is for the decimal. This is for the decimal division. All right. Then we have the integer division, which I told you earlier. It will just erase whatever is after the decimal point. It will give you integer. We already know integer, whole number without decimal point. That is it. That's why you can see that the remaining .3333 is being erased. You can see the output is just 3. All right. Then the modulo that is going to actually give us the remainder. Yes, modulo give us remainder, and if we divide 3 divided by 10 is actually 3, and the remainder is 1. That is why you are seeing 1 here. I believe you understand. If you don't understand, you can put in the comment section, and definitely your question is going to be picked up and actually answered. All right, I think that's basically what all this is all about, and we can actually make use of our variables that we've learned. You can see that we are printing this directly. We can make use of our variable actually, and says for the integer we can say int. Yeah, definitely this is fantastic. I think I'm loving this, though this is just a lazy man work, but definitely it's going to help. Anything that doesn't make sense, we remove it actually. All right, beautiful. Let me explain what AI has actually quickly computed for me. I think if you didn't like this pattern of AI suggesting this for me, you can tell me in the comment section, and I'm going to turn off the AI. Now we are in AI era whereby even how can I put it, our leaders, yes, let me put it that way, our leaders in tech, the likes of Google, Amazon, who is there again, yeah, Google, Amazon, Azure, that's Microsoft. They are trying as much as possible to make sure that we are using the AI. They are pushing it to us. They are feeding us the AI every day. Actually, if you do not like the AI, you can let me know in the comment section, and definitely I'm going to turn that guy. I'm going to turn it off so that it will not distract us. But what has the AI actually suggested? Because as I'm typing, it's already understand what I'm trying to do. That's why it's just bringing whatever is in my mind. It's just bringing it out for me. But if you don't like it, just let me know, and that will be turned off for you. All right, you can see we are now using variable. Instead of printing it directly, we are now storing it inside a variable, and you can see that we now have something like sum, because we're actually summing up. And a plus b, the same thing we did that we print directly, is just that we store it inside a variable called sum. And definitely if you want to create a variable and store something inside it, you have to declare the data type, and the data type is definitely going to be integer. And definitely, if you can remember, if you've watched the previous video, we have var also. We have var, we have dynamic. If you are not sure of the data, you can use var or you can use dynamic, depends on whatever the experience is. You can actually use any of the two. I've deeply explained it in the previous video. You can watch that also. All right, we have difference. Difference means what is the difference between it. Yeah, it's a good term to use, because we used to know. I think when we are doing verbal reasoning while we are in school, then we have something called difference, and difference just means minus. Yes, that's what it just means. And definitely if we minus 10 plus from 3, is going to be integer. The output is going to be integer. That's why we declare integer. And we have product. Product means multiplication. Then those terminologies are actually what we've learned when we are passing through the normal primary education. All right, we have product, we have quotient. Quotient, definitely if you divide, there is going to be remainder, because it's a decimal division. Definitely the data type should be double. And we have the integer quotient, which is if we divide, definitely you know that it's going to be integer. That's why we said integer quotient, so that it's going to store it in integer for you. And lastly, we have the remainder. Yes, remainder, and definitely it's pretty for us. And if you run this, you see that it will still give us the same output, not different from what we have before. And yeah, that is it. But let's do string interpolation with this, so that we can let's do it this way. String interpolation, we can do some. Yeah, that is it. Fantastic. All right, you can see we now have some. We want it to print out some quotes, and inside our single quote, oh my goodness, this is fantastic. Now these days, single quotes or double quotes now means string. Previously, or I don't know, it's been long I write Java. Probably when I start the Java series, I'm going to know what is now new and latest in it. But before, when you want to use single quote is meant for a single character. But now everywhere, single quote now means string. Yes, single quote is always just a character. if you want to print string, or you have a string, multiple characters, you have to use double quotes. But now it's pretty much looking good using single quotes actually. All right, let's proceed. You can see that we just want to print the sum as a text with whatever the result is. That's why inside it, whatever you just what you just need to do is to bring your variable and put dollar sign. You know, previously there's no dollar sign in it. Now because it's inside, that's what we call string interpolation. You are trying to put some kind of variables and computation inside your string, then you have to put dollar sign to be able to know that it's actually a variable. It's referencing it as a variable. I think this video is already too long. Let's just quickly run this and we move to another topic in the next video. All right, let's clear and run. And you can see this look pretty much making sense now. You can see again we now have sum is 13, difference is this, product is this, and we can change it. It's not a must. We can change it to addition. We can change this to subtraction. We can change this to multiplication. It's not a must. We use whatever. We can change it to integer. Okay, sorry, this is decimal quotient or division. We can change this to integer quotient. I don't want that quotient. Let's use layman word into decimal division and integer division. We are taking too much time already. I'm trying to rush up, and we have the remainder. Yeah, this is fine. And always save. Always remember to save. And once you come to your terminal and clear, definitely if you run the same command, you can see that the output has changed. All right, this comes to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. If you have any comment, please drop it in the comment below. If you have any question, drop it in the comment below, and don't forget to subscribe, like. Thank you.